So, I'm going to put out a call for questions. In a week, we're going to answer every single question that anybody puts to us.
Whatever way you contact us,
we'll answer your question
that,
as long as it's not really, really weird. And I'm looking at you. So, Derek Cullen just asked what our favourite piece of gear is that makes life on the trail so much more enjoyable. For me, that's probably this bag. Or the tent, but it's probably this bag. It's an Osprey
Atmos 65 AG.
It's an Osprey Atmos 65 AG and it is pretty good. I previously had an Osprey Exos 40-something, 40-ish, which was also super duper good, but a little too small. It's really nice having a bag this size, and it's an extremely comfortable bag. I've had absolutely no issues with it at all since buying it. So that's probably my absolute favourite piece of gear, and I would highly recommend it in the future.
So we got a comment from Delia, and the kind of first part of her comment is about socks and how we deal with socks and the numbers of them. So I personally have 4 pairs of socks. Carl has millions of socks that are all in different stages of like disintegration. They're all the exact same sock and the exact same brand. So Carl uses the Wigwam Hiker Pro, something that we'll link it below. Currently my favourite pair are 1,000 Mile socks. They do like a double lining, which I've never liked and I've never been willing to wear before until we were up in Louth and I needed new socks and they were the only hiking socks available. So I bought a pair and I adjusted and now I absolutely love them. So I have 2 pairs of those and I have 2 pairs of Teco merino wool socks. Yeah, but I love the 1,000 Mile ones at the moment.
You asked another question just now, actually. She asked if we listen to podcasts while we walk or whatever, or if we listen to anything at all. We don't typically. We do when there are long stretches of road or long stretches of beach, like what just happened, and there's just not that much to stimulate your brain. And also just, especially when there's long road sections, it's really nice to have something to just kind of keep your mind off of the intense pain in your feet. At the moment, both of us listen to Hello Internet and Acquisitions Incorporated and some other folklore, which is really stupid good. And that's about it, or at least that's for me anyway. But we try and keep podcast listening to a minimum because it is nicer to be kind of in the place that you're in. But sometimes it's just kind of called for. So, Peter Clark asked if hiking has changed our brains. So for me, I have learned just how much work you can get done in a day. It's a lot of work. You can do a ton of stuff in a day that I never really appreciated before. I guess it's not just about the hiking for us. It's like the whole thing, making videos, being on social medias, all that kind of stuff, writing blog posts. We're working 2 jobs. One is doing all the walking and the other is doing all the other stuff. And we managed to do a lot of that every day. And I'm really quite proud of ourselves for somehow managing to do this incredibly big project by ourselves so far and not completely giving up or going insane. Otherwise, I think in general I have a much bigger appreciation for the smaller things in places. A lot of things that maybe I would find or would have found maybe silly or boring before, a town's horse fair or something that I would never ever care about before. I really like now, and I like them as kind of... I think I appreciate the quieter things now more.
So I think so much clearer when I'm outside. It's so much easier to see what I really want, or to kind of cut through all the noise. When we've stopped and we're editing, or if I'm on a bus, or if I'm in a city or whatever, I nearly always have like earphones in. I'm either like listening to the audio that we're editing, or I'm listening to a podcast on the train, or I'm just listening to the music in the area, or I'm having a conversation with somebody, or I'm on the phone, or just being outside in the mountains is really nice for just kind of being alone with your thoughts, or for just kind of being quiet. And I just think I think a lot clearer. It's kind of like, it's almost like a detox. Like you have to it's hard to not want to be listening to stuff all the time, or to be like consuming stuff, or to like have something to distract your mind from just being by itself. So that's been interesting, to say the least. So the question is what? I need the question. Okay, so Joe Mansfield asked about like how we prepare for trips, do we just kind of go for it, and how we deal with road traffic. So on the Irish Trails website there are free maps that you can download for each trail. So we always have those at least downloaded onto our phones, if not printed off, and we kind of get like a rough idea of like, okay, yeah, we can probably go from here to here and then from here to here. Plan it around if there's campsites or if there's coffee, kind of do like some very, very, very loose planning, because anything can kind of throw a spanner in the works. Like if it lashes rain for 2 days, you're not going to walk as far as you thought. So yeah, really loose planning. And then roads, Irish drivers are pretty confident on the very small windy roads, which makes it pretty awkward sometimes. So we try and just kind of blitz through those bits as quickly as we can, and we pray that not too many of the trails leave you on road all day. They can be pretty demoralising when they do, but we just kind of have to live with it at the moment. We haven't figured out a way to avoid them.
So Jen asked if we can do dips while wearing our bags. I actually tried this yesterday, and the answer is almost. For me at least. I don't think I can do it.
Okay. So Chris asked how we keep all our electronics charged. It depends on the thing. We have multiple batteries for the camera and the drone, and then for our phone and our Kindles we just have a very large battery bank that we then charge whenever we find a plug. Nothing is so remote that we don't have access to power for more than a few days. So it hasn't been too much of a problem yet, thankfully. Also, the drone batteries act as battery banks as well. We have a reverse power thing that we can plug our phone into the drone batteries and use them as extra battery banks. So we always definitely have plenty of power with us.
Chris asked how we get around between trails. Most of the time we take the bus. Neither of us drive. We don't have a car, and we don't know enough people to just get lifts everywhere. So yeah, most of the time it's just taking a bus or multiple buses between one trail and the other. We do try and do trails kind of in blocks so that they lead into one another, but eventually you just have to get on a bus for 7 hours to get from Tralee to Roscommon. It's not fun. So Chris asked, how did we decide on the things that we brought with us, and have we gotten rid of anything that's been too heavy? So yeah, we stop, or whenever we stop, we throw crap out of our bags. Almost every single time there's something that we didn't use that we don't need to bring. So when you're hiking, the number one way to improve your experience is by carrying less stuff. Our very first trail, the Royal Canal, we actually had moved out, like we left our apartment that day. We left our apartment the day that we started walking, and so we were carrying a ton of stuff with us that we didn't need, because we were pretty much moving with everything in our bags. So obviously we threw a ton of stuff out after that. A lot of the times it's just clothing. We often, like, yeah, you occasionally just switch out t-shirts and stuff, but most of it is that we don't care how we look as much, maybe. So we don't, or we're more likely to wear clothing for the third day in a row.
Okay, so a few days ago, when we first got Delia's question about socks, I realised a few minutes ago that I didn't read the second half of her question, which goes along the lines of, we've been travelling before, so if you wouldn't mind briefly listing some things about it, and when we return from travels, what is it that makes us want to go back on the road again? I hope I said that clearly enough. So yeah, previously we have camped in a tent or lived in a tent for a few months in Fontainebleau in France, outside of Paris. Carl did a lot of climbing. I had a broken foot, so I didn't do so much rock climbing. And then I went on Erasmus to Estonia, which was amazing. And then we walked 1,100 kilometers through France, then down into Spain and along the Camino del Norte. I walked 260 kilometers from my apartment in Dublin to my mum's home, or my mum's house in Tipperary. Well, first off, travelling in Ireland does have the advantage of a language. We don't need another language to be here. And if we're unwell or if we hurt ourselves, we can fairly easily get back to a house of somebody that we know or are related to and rest up or heal up or weather or wait out the weather or whatever. So that has been great. Compared to, let's say, our walking trip in Spain, which was I guess the most similar other trip we've gone on, there, it's made for walking. It's made to be one big thing, whereas what we're doing now are made to be like small individual things and not done as a whole piece. And in general, just the fact that there was organised accommodation or like easy accommodation, like special accommodation for walkers who do the Camino, made it a lot more affordable and a lot less stressful. But it's also really nice to kind of have all these happy experiences in your home country. It kind of shows that adventure isn't somewhere else. It can be right here too. And what makes us want to get back on the road again? Whenever you stop, you really, really appreciate things like a kettle and a shower and being able to hear the rain on the roof and not feel it. But I guess maybe, I don't know, you after a while you look back at all the things that were horrible and there's like your rose-tinted glasses have accidentally fallen on and you're like, oh, it wasn't really that bad. Like I know I hurt myself, but it wasn't that bad. Or I know I was exhausted every day, but it wasn't that bad. It was actually really, really fun. And the longer it goes, the stronger the urge is to get going again. And I don't know, like time disappears so much more easily when you have a routine or when you're living in a kind of routine lifestyle, whereas like every moment is kind of measured and counted. Like we've done so much in the past 4 months that it's almost like I can't remember it all in a good way. Like I'm overwhelmed with memories, whereas if I think of the 4 months before that, I was working in a shop and I had it was lovely. I made some good friends. It was really nice kind of not being on the go. But I much prefer thinking back and thinking, oh my god, the hours and the days have been so packed and so weird and so wonderful. When you're traveling, you can't help but like you're constantly absorbing new things and new experiences. It's really very hard to get kind of lazy, I guess. I guess that's my answer. Sorry, that was a bit rambly. Finally, a huge thank you to all our patrons. And this week, especially thanks to John Healy, Werner Lang and Jen Carey. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you very, very much for your continued support. And yeah, have a nice week.